In the world of aerial photography and videography, a great drone camera doesn't just capture footage. It elevates your creativity and expands what's possible from above. Whether you're a filmmaker chasing cinematic landscapes, a content creator capturing stunning travel shots, or an enthusiast exploring the skies, the right drone camera combines stable flight performance with sharp image quality, intelligent shooting modes, and reliable flight safety features. From advanced obstacle avoidance and 4K per 8K video to long battery life and compact design, today's top drones offer powerful tech in sleek packages. To help you find the right model, we've listed the top 10 best drone cameras and their key features, plus the things you need to consider to help you choose the best one for you. Links to all products mentioned in the video are in the description below, so let's get started. DJI Mavic 3 Classic. The Mavic 3 is a powerful machine and priced accordingly, but while its hybrid zoom is a handy tool for surveying, it isn't a feature that will excite a lot of photographers. This classic version ditches the relatively low-resolution zoom camera and retains the 4/3 Hasselblad camera on more or less the same airframe, including C1 certification. 10-bit D-Log and all the low-light benefits of the large sensor are retained. That means creators who would only have used the 24mm EFL camera can pay a little less to get the 15 km range, advanced return to home, avoiding and rerouting around objects, and the excellent battery life of the Mavic 3 without really losing out. In fact, compared to the original's launch, there are some advantages. The subject tracking, panorama capture, and other functions are all working from day one, and are pretty high-end. However, it's worth noting that the Mavic 3 Pro emerged, improving some of the complaints about the Mavic 3 after the Classic's launch, and personally, having flown all three, I would do my level best to buy the version with all the cameras if I could. After all, the price difference isn't that much when you're already spending this much, and it's better to have options, isn't it? Okay, it is. The difference is more than the price of a DJI Mini 3, but you still have to be very confident that you only need the wide, which, in fairness, is true of many videomakers and surveyors. It's your call. DJI Mini 4K. The DJI Mini 4K effectively replaces the DJI Mini 2 SE as the cheapest normal drone in the range. The DJI Neo is a whole other thing. It can be compared to a mid-range phone in terms of specs. Good but not amazing. That, though, is a high standard these days, certainly far higher than toy drones and their shaky video, because this drone can hover perfectly thanks to its onboard sensors and has a 3-axis mechanical stabilizer for its camera. The main gripe tech fans had about DJI's previous low-cost option was that it had lower resolution video, but the era of 2.7K is over. A 4K camera is here. Or, more accurately, the same sensor is connected to better processing, so you can get the now expected standard of video. The drone scrapes in beneath the 250G registration barrier, like the other mini drones, and has a folding design with propellers that fold out in use. That makes it easy to transport and relatively safe. Software-wise, the app is intuitive and includes auto land, return to home, and some cool orbiting effects which will be sure to earn likes. It also has a basic tutorial in the app. Incidentally, though there is a remote control, and a well-built one that will keep your phone charged up, you will need a phone, Android or Apple. That's because it serves as screen. Video and photos is stored on a micro SD card, so you can download directly to a computer. That's how I use it. But there is also the option of Wi-Fi, albeit not super fast. This drone's frame has a lot of history. The Mini SE, Mini 2 SE, and the non-budget Mini 2 before that all had more or less the same airframe, though the inner electronics have changed a few times, as have the controllers. It is simple and reliable, with nearly half an hour of usable flight time. DJI Inspire 3. The Inspire 3, with the required accessories, will set you back the same amount of money as a small car, but for the cinematographers it is aimed at, it'll be worth it. It could even save a bit compared to Jibs and Dolus, though it does have a bit more downdraft. The accuracy of repeatable routes can be centimeter level thanks to built-in RTK compatibility. As for cameras, the detachable unit has its own name, the Zenmuse X9-8K Air camera. Perhaps more will come later? It can rotate 360 degrees beneath the drone's airframe, and can be operated by one pilot, with the assistance of AI subject framing if they choose, or a pilot and 1 or 2 camera operators. This is serious professional stuff, which will only record to DJI's own costly SSD cards, the same as used with its Ronin cinema cameras. Editing will require crunching a lot of numbers, but the results are spectacular, and the dual native ISO full-frame imaging sensor certainly gets the results you'd expect for the investment. Potensic Atom. Potensic has been making drones for quite a while, but until recently hasn't really worried the market leaders. Until the Atom, its strategy seems to have revolved around getting products out for the family fun/toy market. The Atom, though, really caught me by surprise when I tried it. On opening the very elegant box, I discovered a drone with a build quality and styling that seemed to owe a fair bit to the DJI Mini 2, and all the drones DJI have based on that airframe, including the current Mini 4K. So, with DJI standing still on airframes in this category, though innovating with the DJI Neo, the Atom actually gave itself a lead by arriving at a point when DJI hadn't decided to offer 4K video in their cheapest drone. That has now, finally, been corrected with the Mini 4K, probably because of this Potensic. DJI, though, still have a relatively restrictive feature set on their entry-level drone. There is no option for waypoint mission planning, for example, so a geekier mindset might find the Potensic offers more. DJI, I think, worry that some aren't to be trusted with this tech and, as a bigger brand facing a lot of legal challenges, are cautious about the features they make widely available. There are no such limitations on the Atom, which also has a very clever controller design. It accommodates a phone in an extendable body design. Even my iPhone Pro Max in a case, the result looks a bit like a Nintendo Switch when in use. The app is good, and the drone's batteries charge either via individual USB-C socket or, if you get a Fly More kit, using a charging hub. It feels like Potensic has taken everything it has learned, as well as a good look at what's around there, and successfully moved upmarket without pulling its prices all the way up too. That's a very tempting choice. On the strength of this, I don't see it being an economy brand for long. Antigravity A1. This is a unique proposition in the drone world, at launch anyway, and, thankfully for those who have been excitedly waiting for it, a brilliant implementation of it. Antigravity is related to Insta360, the company behind the X5 and X4 Air cameras, among others, which have had prime spots on our guide to the best 360 camera, not least because of the tech and, crucially, software which, it won't surprise you, you also gain access to via this drone. The big difference is that you can fly the camera through the air. What surprised many in the industry, though, is just how elegant a consumer product this is too. It's below 250G, so nearly anyone can fly it with very little by way of paperwork. And flying is slick thanks to a grip controller and FPV goggles which are not only simple to use, more so than they look, I assure you, but which come with guiding tutorials and tooltips. Build quality is good and small design elements are thoughtful throughout, from features like the powered retracting legs to protect the lens to the folding arms that don't have to be opened and closed in sequence. Accessories are high quality too, like the charging hub with an actual percentage readout of battery charge rather than a mere 4 lights. Ultimately, the brilliance of this drone is you get the precise control of FPV in flight, and the precise control of redirecting the camera where you like in post using the Insta360 Studio app. DJI Mavic 4 Pro. Incredibly, 2 years seems a long time between DJI releases, and so the Mavic 4 Pro has moved the flagship drone on quite a long way. The two biggest changes are the new tennis ball gimbal and the 100MP camera. As well as bringing the ability to rotate the gimbal through 90 degrees like the Mini Pro, the ball can shoot at Dutch angle, any sideways angle, and keep turning as the drone flies. It can even do this when the gimbal is pointing down. Most of the time this might not be much use to you, but if you do need it for something creative, it's great because you get to keep all the original optical resolution. Generational improvements to the drone's range, subject tracking, and collision avoidance systems are all also very telling in the experience. When I flew the drone, I was able to have it track a moving subject, avoid trees which were blowing in the wind, and keep the camera on the subject. That camera was shooting video in 6K at 60 frames per second at the time, too, which is not to be sniffed at. All the processing power is there. There are two versions of the drone, the 64GB and the 512GB versions, referring to the built-in memory. If you opt for the later, the drone can also record video with all keyframe, all eye. This is quicker to edit with as it needs less processing, and less compressed, so higher quality, 1200 megabits per second v 180 megabits per second with the standard. The even better aperture, that opens from f/2 to f/11, will even give sun stars at the right angle. The mid-tele is essentially the same as the Mavic 3 Pro, but the long tele has a wider aperture and larger sensor. DJI Flip. To some extent, drone design has been defined by DJI's efforts in 2016, but, nearly a decade of, this represents a markedly new direction. The lightweight spoke-based propeller cages might look a little ungainly, but make for a clever rugged folding design which is surprisingly pocketable, and seems to bring very little by way of flight time compromise. It's still around half an hour. Safety isn't exciting to many on its own, but it does mean that hand launching can become the norm. DJI has taken the opportunity to load this drone with the AI tracking features that mean you don't actually need a remote control for it to see you and follow you, making it, for want of a better term, selfie drone. In the box, however, is a remote controller. Depending on your choice, you can either have the plug your phone in type or a built-in screen, but, either way, DJI aren't letting you buy this powerful drone without the option to fly it properly, should I say, traditionally, and make full use of the camera. As well as a 3-axis gimbal for the camera which seemed able to keep up with the drone's movements in my tests, some in gusty wind, the drone has some nice modern touches, like some onboard storage, 2 GB there in case you forget your memory card. In terms of complaints, I do feel like the enclosed props are a little noisier than the alternative, or the pitch more irksome, but that's such a minor irritation in exchange for the convenience of hand launching anywhere without worrying about fingers. It really is easy enough to use that my 8-year-old had no issues with it, so I can see why DJI see it as a vlogging drone for everyone. HoverAir X1 Pro Max. An 8K camera sounds like competition for the DJI Inspire, while the lightweight folding design and AI subject tracking seems more like competition for the Flip or the Neo. The real story is that HoverAir came up with the AI tracking drone, which didn't need a controller first, and this X1 Pro Max is a generational improvement, with better battery life and camera. As such, it's a more powerful, safer version of the already very impressive HoverAir X1, but it also has the option of being a real drone, because this time it is possible to buy not just the drone, which can be flown with nothing more than its AI, or at most a phone app, but also a beacon/remote control. Admittedly, this doesn't quite have the miles of range that some other drones have, but it does extend things from a simple phone screen and puts real physical controls in the hand, meaning you have real control over an 8K camera in the sky. At this point, you'll also probably start to want a longer battery life, but it is swappable, so just make sure you acquire a spare. HoverAir also sell a charging hub in several of their bundles. If you're looking to create premium content featuring yourself and a lot of the time you'll have no other camera operator with you, this is the drone for you, and it does impress. If you're just after a cheap route into the follow me tech, you should be looking at the Neo. I've tried both and written my thoughts on whether I'd still buy the HoverAir X1 or the DJI Neo in this category, and as the firmware evolves you can bet I'll be keeping my attention on this. The Pro Max is all about the bigger and better camera, so it's a premium choice, as well as a choice for those who cannot buy DJI. DJI Air 3S. The DJI Air 3S is more or less perfect. The only real problem is that, if you're based in America, it's not that easy to get hold of unless you order from DJI directly, which you can, no problem. You might have to go for the older DJI Air 3. That's still a great drone, but the Air 3 brings a new, bigger 50-megapixel 1-inch sensor for the main camera, which is 24mm EFL, and keeps a 48-megapixel 1/1.3-inch camera for the 70mm EFL f/2.8 telelens. Compared to a typical one-camera drone, this massively increases your creative capabilities. For example, tracking people or moving subjects. It's also great for survey jobs with a bit more safety. DJI have modernized everything and boosted convenience. The drone boasts 42 GB of internal storage, so if you forget a micro SD card you're not in trouble. It skips around the air with impressive confidence, feeling a lot more assured than a mini-sized drone, though, of course, it is nearly 3 times the weight. Low light is impressive. Something that has been worrying in the past with different size sensors has been how the optics blend together, but this question seemed not to present itself in my tests. What I did notice was how impressive the dynamic range was, and the 100 to 12,800 ISO range is the tip of the iceberg. DJI has even added a new low-light collision sensing system with LiDAR which makes crashing that bit harder. I didn't manage it in my testing. Think of this as a more affordable Mavic 3 Pro, which is also more modern and, in some ways, actually better. As well as eclipsing its bigger, heavier cousin with goodies like LiDAR, it also gets AI subject tracking and even waypoints, plus excellent battery life. Why spend more? If you want to do occasional survey work, and perhaps get some images, then I found the 4x zoom looked very impressive and, honestly, this drone seems to aggressively eat into the use case for the Mavic 3. DJI Mini 4 Pro. This drone's predecessor, the DJI Mini 3 Pro, had a massive effect when it arrived in May 2022. It redefined what DJI was doing with the ultralight category, bringing some collision sensors and a 4K 60 frames per second camera which could physically rotate to vertical mode, a feature still not equaled by much bigger craft. Under 18 months later, the Mini 4 Pro finished the job, making the collision sensors omnidirectional, all-round, and adding 10-bit D-Log M video and waypoint programmable flights while keeping under the magic weight. It can also do HDR at a full 60 frames per second rather than the 30 frames per second limit of the Air 3 Pro. The Mini 4 Pro also sports DJI's updated O4 radio system which offers up to 20 kilometers, over 12 miles, of theoretical range or, more importantly, top-notch reception in sensible operational distances. The updated DJI RC2, as seen with the DJI Air 3, is an option, which feels very pro in hand, giving the choice of a model with a screen to save the fairly minimal fuss of connecting a phone. In some markets, start chanting USA, USA. There is also a choice of batteries if you don't mind pushing the weight limit, meaning you can go from the already decent 30 minutes to over 40. Again, always take these with a pinch of salt. It depends on conditions and flying style. You should note, though, that the drone will know about the weight change, and can alert authorities. The message of the Mini 4 Pro is that DJI will not let the weight restriction prevent creatives from achieving their goals. The inevitable downside is the pricing, which is quite a lot closer to the company's higher-end models than other ultralights. If you want to save, there is the less expensive DJI Mini 3, which lacks the collision sensors and some of the output options, but will capture similar video and stills for the average user. If you found this video helpful, please consider giving it a thumbs up, leaving a comment, and subscribing to our channel. Don't forget to hit the notification bell icon so you never miss out on our latest videos.